Hi there. First of all, I know it's been a while. I've been off stream for over a week, and to be honest, I feel really bad every single day I don't live stream. But to be fair, I've been meditating off screen, and a lot of times I meditate. I be mindful when I walk, or mindful when I do like different chores, or try to meditate just before I go to bed, like just lying down there and meditate. So the key thing I'm stressing on is, regardless of this live stream, meditation is important for me, and I'm meditating. I don't know why I'm saying this. In a way, it's probably a conversation with myself, justifying why I wasn't streaming live for a week. But that being said, I'm super excited to live stream today's session. First of all, I want to take a few minutes to talk about the laws of motion, and how I personally look at it to adapt it in my personal life. So to give you the entire scenario, there are three laws of motion. The first law of motion is a body will continue to be in motion or continue to be at rest unless some force acted upon it. That's the first law of motion. By the way, all these three laws were written down by Newton. I don't know if he discovered these three laws. Could have been very well. And this, so moving forward to the second law of motion, which defines as the acceleration of a body dependent on the force and the mass of the body. And the third law of motion is, for every force there is equal and opposite force acting on that body. So how do I use these three laws of motion within my personal life? And moreover, why do I have to even use it? These are applicable to physical bodies for sure, clearly. And if you're not aware, you and I, we are physical bodies too. So physically, these law of motions are applicable on our physical bodies. But how does it transform into mindset? Or does it even have to transform into mindset? Well, the answer is no. But I would like to rephrase these three laws in a way that it makes sense when dealing with a lot of forces or resistance within my own life, or you know. So we all been to places where our body is kind of, our mind and body both, in fact, are resistive, resist the change, resist the flow, resist, you name it. And when it's physical resistant, then you can overcome it by either consuming good food or taking enough rest, and or you know um, just doing things which actually you love to do. When it's mental resistant, that's a whole different game, because no matter what I hear, or no matter what I listen, or I read, there's still this resistance at times, which doesn't in a way which resist me from doing things which I need to do. Like, for an example, the weather right now, it's a type of resistant, because the cold weather uh, makes me feel, um, for lack of a better word, depressive, right? Or make me feel to not do anything. But it's not the same thing, I understand. But to give you an example, so if I want to go out and work out, then I have to fight the resistance of the cold weather. But that's again a physical object. Coming to a mental resistant, or the mindset resistant, just to kind of rephrase these three laws of motion. The first law of motion, which is defined as a body will continue to be in motion or continue to be at rest unless acted upon by a force. And this is so true when it comes to mindset as well. I've been into these stages when I am rock on. I'm doing everything I need to do. Go do my trainings. Go do stand up. Go do live streams, and write down my journal. Do everything I plan to accomplish in that day, and that's add up. uh, the next day when I approach it, it feels kind of less resistive because I've already done it a day prior. So there were weeks where I could easily do every single task, or more or less every single task I planned to do. That's a state of flow. That's a body in motion, and it continued to be in motion until I had some sort of resistance. It could be a mental resistance, which could be something to do with mental exhaustion, or it could be a physical resistance, such as the weather I described earlier. So, regardless, the resistance, the forces, if it's adding value to what you're doing, amplify your work, and if it negating what you're doing, then it what's the opposite of amplifying? I should know this. I'm an electrical engineer, so I should know this. But it will negate the overall work. So compress. I think that's the word. Compress the overall work. But the point being that when when I notice that I am in a state of rest or in a state of motion, uh, it's easier for me to continue to be in that state. So if I'm in state of rest, then there has been hours, days when I'm in rest until a force is acted upon me, and that force could be, I don't know, a motivation video. It could be some of my friend texted me or called me to meet up. It could be something which I've been wanting to do for a while, and I get up and go and do it. So that's the force which tackle the resistance, or which tackles whenever I'm at rest. And like I said, whenever I'm in motion, there are different forces which can slow me down. So that's basically what is first law of motion, and what I see from or learn from this law of motion and how it can apply to my mindset is to understand that law of inertia can physically as well as mentally slow down, or continue to uh, improve or continue to take action. So next time when I feel resistance to anything, and I can uh, add maybe higher amount of force to overcome that resistance. Like let's just say if it's cold weather out there and there is a resistance within me to not leave my house, then I can add different set of resistance. Like okay, I am gonna just go and eat out. There is no way I'm cooking anything, so I am forcing myself to go out and eat to fight that cold. So any force which is greater than the resistance gonna win. I mean, clearly. Uh, yeah. So the second law of motion is that a body will continue to accelerate when acted upon force, and it's a factor of force and mass. So in my case, uh, I'm constant by mass, and if I want to accelerate further, I need the forces with me to kind of make me accelerate further. And the way I look at it is the forces of being in the right environment and surrounded with right people, because that itself add more force and create acceleration into the learning process altogether. So if you want to learn quickly, if you want to get better at something, surround yourself with the people, with the information, with the environment, which can not only support you but also, uh, in some sense, push you to grow further, push you to move your boundaries. So that's how I would define the second law of motion, and how, uh, basically mindset wise, I can use second law of motion by understanding the different forces around me, and uh, being part of the force which will amplify my life, or which will, push me towards my goal. And the third law of motion is that every body, acted by a force have an opposite force, uh, counteracting to, to the acted force. So for every force you apply, there is equal and opposite force from the other side to nulling out the entire force. And it sounds a lot like karma, to be honest. Like, when you apply good force into something, um, in a some weird fashion, it comes back as a good thing for you. And when you apply a negative force into something, it comes down in some negative way on you. So Newton's third law of motion is nothing but karma in many states. Uh, so yeah, this is something I've been pondering on for past few days, and to me, it looked like the physical universe and the metaphysical universe, which is kind of not super scientific to even say, but uh, this physical universe is observed and measured, whereas your mental universe cannot be observed. I mean, we can observe it, but we cannot measure it, uh, because it's impossible, because every person is different. So if I were to create some sort of bridge between physical universe and this mental universe, then I would be able to rephrase the three laws of motion of a physical body into three laws of motion for life's motion, or three laws of life's motion. The first law of motion is to continue to the first law of motion is to understand the forces which are resisting uh, your, say, life's motion. If you're moving with a constant speed, and check out the forces which are hindering that, and also look at the motions which actually pushes you to take motion, to take action, and use the forces which are actually serving you. So in case of fighting resistance with cold, learn breath work, set a goal where you have to step out and do something. So that's fighting the, in some sense, negative force. And if you're stuck, or um, feel feel stuck, then use up the forces which actually motivate you, inspire you from within to take different action. So that's the first law of motion. The second law of life's motion is to surround with the forces which not only support your growth but also amplifies it, with push who pushes you to take more actions and work on your uh, whatever you want to improve on. And the third law of motion is literally the karma. So depending on what type of what type of force you apply in the universe, uh, that force is reciprocated and applied back to you. So better to kind of be more aware of your own existence and what you are sharing and applying in the world. And trust me, I'm not any good at any of these. These are uh, some of the things which I'm battling within, and I hope I come up with a better strategy to work with myself, because I feel these are some of the things which everyone have to discover within their own lives. So I cannot say what all forces going to work with you. I can observe and I can make some a statement, but that doesn't mean anything. The forces which are resisting or which are enhancing your life experiences are something which you would have to be aware of, and at the very least observe and observe for a while and then note it down. And journaling is one of the best way to do so. All right. So one of the other way how you can get better at observing not just your own thought patterns, behavior patterns, mindset, but also the things happening in the world is by meditating. And there are a lot of meditation techniques all over the world which you can embrace, and depending on your personality uh, and I guess um, yeah, your own inner resistance, you may be able to resonate with one technique over the other. In the past year, one of the techniques which I've been dwelling into is Vipassana, which is to just sit still and focus on your breath and at large body sensations, and just observe those breath flow of breath and the sensations throughout the body. And that's pretty much it. That's whole Vipassana meditation. So uh, that being said, I'm gonna meditate for 43 minutes exactly, because I have to go somewhere. So I'll meditate until 6:30, and then um, see you next time. Hey Google, set an alarm for 6:30 p.m.
Done. Your alarm set for 6:30 p.m.
Hey Google, stop. Thanks for streaming this live meditation, and until next time, stay peaceful.